Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Today being Tuesday, June 25, 2024. It's interesting. We had the chance to attend the Libertarian Convention in Washington, D.C. about a month ago. And there were several components to the conversation that the Libertarian Party really wanted to hear from regarding Vivek Ramaswamy and Donald Trump, President Trump. And a few things they wanted answers on are: would you commute the sentence or issue a pardon for Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, and Ross Ulbricht? And at the event, and you can check out the speech on the YouTube channel and Rumble channel for the New American Media, you will see Donald Trump, President Trump, say that he will free and commute the sentence of Ross Ulbricht. Today, Julian Assange, I guess, is free. They had him plead. We'll unpack some of the components of the story, but it seems like there's a tide turning, that things are shifting. And now, obviously, people are looking at Seth Rich again. So it's a very important story. It's probably going to be the main topic that we cover today. We will break it down. So I want to thank you for joining the Agree to Disagree show here on the New American Media while we cover the stuff that we found interesting over the past few days. Blake, thanks for joining us today. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing great, Brian. Sorry we're late. I had to go pick up my car. I had to take a 2-hour road trip, and hair and makeup issues, of course, Kenneth. So, but we're here. So we got a short show. Glad to have you guys and Timothy, and for anybody listening to the archives and whatnot. Welcome, greetings, and welcome. Yes, it's great to be here, Brian. So
it will be action packed.
So
let's kind of give the headlines here of what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Jack Smith doctoring evidence to frame Trump. We're going to talk about what happened with the Supreme Court and their unanimous verdict ruling. I mean, it seems redundant, but here we are. It does actually seem important now. Also, who is trying to escalate World War III and why? Well, unfortunately, we had some updates, and they're not good over the past couple of days. Also, who is lying about poll numbers to prop up which candidate? Let's let you fill in the blank. It's like a Mad Libs. Go ahead, fill in the blank. Give us a pronoun. Give us a who knew that pronouns would be such a big deal in 2024? Used to look at that. What's a pronoun again? I don't know. What's a pronoun? I got a verb. That's an action word. Anyway, we're going to talk about poll numbers. Also, the debate. We got to kind of figure out how we're going to cover the debate. If we're going to do a live stream, if we're going to do a regular show, and then a live stream of the debate itself. And we're going to talk about Trump's biggest opponent. It might not be Joe Biden. And also, should YouTubers be able to use the debate stream? Timothy Hanlon is asking, aren't you guys going to talk about dead cats and footballers? Dead cats and footballers. It's a good band name, actually. Dead Cats and Footballers, or an album name.
Football. That sounds like a soccer thing. We're saying footballers. I'm not sure who's the Dead Cats. I don't actually know what this is all about, but we could certainly discuss it. But I'm not really sure what that means.
All right, Timothy, elaborate on your cats and football reference there. Blake is asking for some clarification. Okay, let's jump to the top of the show and talk about journalist Julian Assange. Blake, agree or disagree that he has earned his freedom back? Agree or disagree? Julian Assange has earned his freedom back.
100%. He never should have had his freedom taken away to begin with. He was just doing basic journalism, hardcore stuff. It's all, journalism is, printing what other people don't want to have printed. It's about kind of holding the powerful accountable. But nowadays, these corporate guys, it's just corporate news, and they're basically bought and paid for, and they protect the ruling class. So they did not like Julian Assange doing real journalism, and they locked him up for a long time for embarrassing the administration. And then they basically, I think he was going to die in prison, so they basically forced him to do a plea. And so he's like, okay, fine, I'll take a felony so I don't have to die in there and die in Belmarsh. So no, that's still a good thing. So let's take a small victory of sorts. But yes, that was a hot topic at the Libertarian Convention, and it kind of takes some of the thunder away, perhaps, from like RFK Jr., who was running on that, freeing Assange and Ulbricht and Edward Snowden, and they should all be let go, in my opinion. Now, Russ Ulbricht, he may have ordered a couple of hits on people and the Silk Road thing. It's a dangerous business. People that were bad for business. I don't exactly know all of that, what happened behind the scenes, but yeah, I think it's time for everybody to have a new case and have their freedom back.
Yeah.
So,
and it has people out there wondering, like this account here, something to ponder. This gentleman in the American flag suit. The question is, remember Seth Rich? Assange does. You know, Julian Assange, he did everything short of telling his interviewer that the source for the WikiLeaks information about, well, all sorts of stuff, that it was Seth Rich. And he said that his sources go to enormous risk in delivering information. And he stopped one sentence short of saying it was Seth Rich, but I mean, he said it was Seth Rich. But it kind of feels like, Blake, in 2024, we're going back 8 years to clean up some messes. It seems like a lot of the same operations that have been run by the deep state, the treasonous, traitorous deep state, they're repeating. We're going back to the Hillary Clintons, the Barack Hussein Obamas, the kind of like the ruling families that were running these stunts and these frame operations and these cleanup operations for so long. I kind of wonder, have you got any inclination as to the health of Julian Assange? I was kind of hearing his health has been deteriorating, or, you know, at least any good attorney is going to put that out there regardless. I don't know if he is nearing some sort of expiration date or not, but I have heard that regardless. But, you know, I wonder if he had to turn on anybody, if he had to give up any of his sources in order to cut a plea deal here. Because, yeah, in one regard, Assange was a hero for, you know, like, we're getting information. That's what journalism is. And the complaint against him was, well, look, there's a lot of military stuff here. You have really endangered all of the position of the troops, the health and safety of the troops. Like, if this falls in enemy hands, you just released everything, and there's so much in here that could harm us. This is not okay. Like, so there's a lot to unpack here. Seth Rich is somebody who will never be okay. So I guess, Blake, what do you anticipate with Julian Assange now moving forward, being out of his confinement? Other people are saying, look out. Now he's going to be easier to get to. You know, like you can finally take him out because he's not being protected by the Ecuadorian embassy or the British such and such, or wherever he's been in his little makeshift jail cell. It's like, yo, you can Epstein this guy in an accident. Oh, it's going to be so easy to Seth Rich this guy now. There's a lot of thoughts going on in my head here. Like, what angles have you given consideration to so far?
I mean, yeah, it's great that he's out either way. Maybe he won't be protected of sorts, but he won't, die in prison. So maybe that's incentive for him to release some of the secrets. I don't know. I think they did have that dead man switch, and they did try to release it, and it got stopped in that massive DDoS attack that we had in late 2016. So I would like to see what he knows about Seth Rich should be released. Personally, seems pretty obvious to me. I mean, this is all conspiracy theories. It's not proven, but that the DNC definitely arranged to put a hit on him. They called it a botched robbery. We're not buying that. So he deserves justice. And, of course, the DNC lawyers, they sent him out to smother his parents, and they kind of buried that story. This is very embarrassing to the administration and a lot of very powerful people. We did see DNC Debbie Wasserman Schultz step down. It could have gone much farther than that, especially if there's a conspiracy to eliminate him, like say with John Podesta, Hillary Clinton, and Donna Brazile. And maybe it's speculation that they used some sort of MS-13 like gangbangers to take them out. Then they took out the gangbangers. I don't know if all that stuff is true, but I know that the death is suspicious. Botched robbery where they didn't take anything. And yes, he was allegedly the leaker who, yes, took DNC secrets and gave them to Julian Assange. And yeah, I'd like to see that come to light. Him or Kim.com or whoever. We need to have all of this information needs to go out. It was too bad. We thought WikiLeaks was going to keep putting out juicy stuff, but I think they were infiltrated and stopped. And the DDoS attack.
And I think this would be a good opportunity to just kind of hit reset and refresh everybody's memory if they're not aware of this clip here.
This is a guy who is a real Bernie Sanders supporter, open Bernie Sanders supporter who worked for the DNC. The DNC against Bernie Sanders.
100%.
He was aware of this. He was there while this was all going down. So was Donna Brazile. Everyone was aware of it. The guy got fucking murdered after he leaked information to WikiLeaks. If you don't think that's a little weird, what are you looking at? What delusional rose-colored glasses are you looking at your party from? You think you're in some Julia Roberts movie from 1990? This is real shit. Some guy got killed. He was 24 years old. He was a young guy who was very optimistic and had this view of the world where he American flag pants and shirt. There's a famous picture of him with a beer on. He's a patriot in a lot of ways. He wanted to be involved in the political process. He was very idealistic. He was probably shattered by finding out that the party that he was working for was corrupting the democratic process. And because I've said this before, I've been accused of helping Donald Trump win by really wacky people online, like by pointing out all the flaws of Hillary Clinton. Like, look, man, you can't ignore that shit because you want one side to win. I've talked about all of his flaws too. There's a lot of flawed human beings that run for president, pretty much all of them. I mean, it's very rare you have someone who's not flawed.
Right.
We're extremely flawed. We're all flawed, but extremely flawed who wants to be the fucking king of the world. It's very rare. Listen, man, I'm not a fucking reputable person.
That's what I try to tell
my
people.
Political ideologies. I mean, I'm just not. I'm not that well read when it comes to politics. I have my opinions on things, but when it comes to things that are rock solid and clear, like that Seth Rich was murdered and people want to ignore it, I'm like, what the fuck do you think happened? There has to be some sort of a disconnect here. When a person is giving information to WikiLeaks that exposes corruption inside the very organization that's responsible for the fucking Democratic Party, and he gets murdered, and you're like, oh, the conspiracy theories. No, he got murdered. There's no conspiracy. Says who? Where's his? How come his wallet was there? How come his watch was there? How come they didn't take his phone? What the fuck are you talking about that I'm a conspiracy theorist when I just tell you the facts? So and this WikiLeaks thing with Julian Assange is the craziest shit ever when he said there's consequences to sharing information with us. And everybody's like, he works for Russia now. He works for Russia.
So
he was the darling of the left when Obama was in office.
So isn't that amazing? So Julian Assange, he's just a great news guy who's tough as nails.
By the way, there's your buddy Jimmy Dore. But I love this segment, Blake, and I will wrap it up because it's so important to just bring us back to exactly what this Julian Assange, as we're remembering why his impact is relevant. I mean, any thoughts on what Rogan was just discussing?
No, he pretty much nailed it better than I could have said it. So, no, yeah, it's exactly what's going on. And it's disgusting to see all these DNC hacks, flacks, and lackeys, and all these people just mindlessly regurgitate propaganda and protect their side. We know something major is going on, and it's clearly, it's obviously there's something happening. He was murdered, and we should be investigating that rather than just trying to bury the story and then criticize anybody as a conspiracy theorist for asking questions.
Right, exactly. And Timothy Hanlon with the comment here. By the way, if you're watching, thank you so much for watching either on, I don't know, type in question of the day. How are you watching today's program if you're watching us live? We love reading your comments. He says the DNC has its slimming tentacles in everything.
Right.
Sliming.
It's
slimy.
misspelled, Brian. All right, you're getting caught up on the details.
No, I'm
All
trying
right.
to squint and read it on my phone. It's a.
Oh, what, you're using your phone? All right. Well, that's probably.
It's
Let's just say the
2.5
DNC is its slimy tentacles and everything. Everything is being revealed.
It is being
All right.
revealed. And here's our buddy Jimmy Dore, who Blake so famously captured spitting into the face of Alex Jones at the 2016 RNC. Here we go, Jimmy Dore.
I'm a forgotten man.
So Julian
I'm Bruce
Assange,
Willis
he's
from
just a
Sixth Sense.
What's that,
I'm not
Blake?
a real person.
Say it again.
I said I'm like Bruce Willis in The Sixth Sense. I'm not a real person. I've never been acknowledged for any of that stuff. It's like it never really happened. It's all a figment of my imagination. And it was buried by InfoWars, and Jimmy Dore has never mentioned that. I've never got, not that I, want to be like known for that, but I mean, that was an interesting confrontation, but somehow my name has never emerged out of that.
But here at the New American Media, we always talk about it. Here we go.
Darling of the left when Obama was in office.
So isn't that
Remember?
amazing? So Julian Assange, he's just a great news guy who's tough as nails.
Who dances creepy and might have fucked some girl while she was asleep. Whatever.
Yeah, that was the thing that they tried to get him on some sort of Bubba Wallace, Trevor Bauer hit job, some Stormy Daniels kind of thing.
He can't leave. He's stuck in the Ecuador embassy
By the way,
forever.
that case was so fucked.
So fucked.
So fucked. He's been so fucked, and it's because the CIA wants him so bad, and they control everybody. And now they're trying. They have influence over Ecuador, and they're trying to fuck. They're trying to get a Halliburton guy to be their new. Anyway,
They might just blow up that place.
the
gas leak.
no doubt it. Right? I wouldn't be surprised if shit like that
When
happened.
more stuff comes out, like the Seth Rich stuff, the amount of people, this is where I leak any conspiracy, the amount of people connected to the Hillary Clinton organization, to the Clinton Foundation, and heist is stunning.
But then
Some of them are bullshit and coincidental, and people, and they're in a weird job, and people get killed. There's a lot of people that have been killed. A lot.
So, yeah, definitely bringing up the Clinton connection. I mean, we're looking forward, obviously, but we're also looking directly backward. There's no doubt about it. Everything is connected to Hillary and Obama. That's how we got into the position that we're in right now. So, anyway, the latest is that Julian Assange has been freed. More details coming out. We'll kind of unpack this over the next few days, but this is a net positive for journalism. We have First Amendment protections for
Kind
journalism.
of, but they did force him to take a felony, so not necessarily.
Well, they hit Trump with 34 felonies, and those are going to get overturned. So we'll see how it shakes out at the end. So, okay, I guess we
It's a
probably
very
have
serious concern for journalists, because this might set some sort of precedent. Not that I blame him for taking. I'm glad he's out. Assange's wife told Reuters, this is out of the Federalist, told Reuters on Tuesday she will seek a pardon for her husband, claiming his guilty plea under the Espionage Act in relation to obtaining and disclosing national defense information is obviously a very serious concern for journalists and national security journalists in general. So, I don't know. Not a huge win for journalism necessarily. So they're still trying to set that precedent. Do not speak out against us.
Yeah, it's look, he has more freedom than he had yesterday. That's
No, it's all good. We'll take it.
Yeah, and we'll
We're still
unpack
in the fight.
a few more angles as we go. But yeah, great news today. Congratulations. I mean, in journalism, you have to kind of look toward people as an inspiration, and it's about speaking truth to power. It's not supposed to be pleasant or comfortable. And another journalist has a little bit more freedom today than they had yesterday. We'll take it as a win. Okay, Blake, anything else to add on this topic?
No.
All right. And let's go ahead and shift gears. Yes, Kenneth B. saying R.I.P. Seth. Yes, indeed. Okay. Next topic. All right, Blake, agree or disagree that Jack Smith doctored evidence to frame President Donald Trump? Agree or disagree? Jack Smith doctored docs.
That's what it certainly sounds like. Now, I had a limited show prep today because of all of the extra stuff I had going on this morning, picking up my car an hour away and coming back, and road trip and errands and all that good stuff. But we will dig into this story together. So let's take a look at what this breaking news is. It certainly appears to be quite the bombshell. Department of Justice admitting the FBI added cover sheets to the Mar-a-Lago raid photo captures. So we have special counsel Jack Smith's case against Trump regarding stolen national security documents has taken an unexpected turn. And according to the documents, the FBI reportedly found loose classified cover sheets that were located in Trump's office in a blue leather-bound box. It was discovered that some of the documents had already had classified cover sheets on them, raising concerns. So this is Julie Kelly expressing her surprise about that Jack Smith admitted the FBI added cover sheets to alleged classified docs and took photos as his evidence. So that confirms, I guess, her report from last month that the FBI had doctored evidence to produce the stunt photos for the classified docs at Mar-a-Lago. So now notice the slight shift here. FBI agents allegedly found loose classified cover sheets. Then suddenly some were attached to the documents. Also wire FBI placeholder sheets in classified discovery. So just this whole narrative appears to be falling apart. So they ran this, there's this big FBI raid at Mar-a-Lago when Trump wasn't there, went through everything, and then I guess tried to make it sound like, you said classified documents strewn all over the place and they were taking pictures, shouldn't have had them. But then now it seems like it's all just was all staged from the beginning. And then they had like authorized deadly force. Like I could imagine like a shootout between, a Secret Service and FBI so they can go after their man Trump, so they can frame him. The feds can frame him. I mean, it's insane. So they'll go to any lengths they can to destroy Donald Trump and prevent him from running. They want to the deep state wants to take over, and they can't have a nationalist, a populist like Trump as a threat to their regime and their power. So now we got there's another update too on one of the other court cases. We'll get to that one thing at a time.
So much is happening. I mean, there are news days, Blake, where it's like, wow, I'm just kind of struggling to figure out what I'm inspired to talk about. And then there are days it's like like trying to take a sip of water out of a fire hydrant, out of a fire hose, By the way, to clear up loose ends, let me just toss this up on the screen here to go back into the Wayback Machine. Remember back when Julian Assange says that the CIA created ISIS, as WikiLeaks released 500,000 U.S. cables. This was dated back on November 29, 2016. Just a little tidbit, something I intended to show you in the last segment. Didn't want to leave out that key piece of information as to why have they been trying to silence Mr. Julian. But yeah, by the way, this Jack Smith guy, something looks wrong with him. He looks sick. He looks beleaguered. He looks beat up. He looks tortured. He looks defeated. He looks evil. There's something about his face melting off of him, Blake. Do you get like creepy vibes just looking at this shell of a man?
Yeah, something's off. Yeah, he was so confident about a year ago or so when, he looked like he had Trump dead to rights. He was going to get him, take him down. He was going to be the guy to bring down 45. But no, it didn't go so well. So it's like they were doctoring evidence, and it blew up in their face, and it's all being exposed right now. And he looks like, maybe a guy who's had this promising career, and maybe he'll get disbarred. He'll have his whole career will be in shambles at the end of this, because if he is doctoring evidence or setting this up as a frame job, then this could be disbarment and perhaps he'll be prosecuted. Who knows? Could be treason. I have no idea how far this will go. So yes, he's desperate and exposed, naked and afraid.
Yeah, a good TV show right there. Yeah, so you know they did a good job, like they always do when they're manufacturing stories. They give you the image, and then it's just you have the image in your head. Blake, if I ask you to kind of like close your eyes and think of a picture, or draw a picture, or describe a scene of what the Trump raid looked like you have like an image in your head, right, from the photographs. You can see the piles of stuff. You can see the documents. I forget if they said top secret, classified, whatever classification labels they had on there. But you have that visual in your head, right? You can see that in your mind's eye.
Well, it's just ridiculous that they would even have to have like an armed raid, and they showed like the pictures of like all these like feds with like machine guns. Like, what the fuck? Like, there was no reason for that. You could calmly go up to Mar-a-Lago and say, hey, can we get the classified documents? Maybe you were supposed to have those. Maybe it was a mistake. We knew it wasn't like Trump was saying, fuck you, you're going to have to come and get it. No. So this was all staged to make Trump look like, he was holding on to, nuclear secrets, or, it was something explosive, and he was, committing treason and selling our secrets to foreign superpowers. And it was all bullshit. So, yeah. I mean, the audacity of that. And they actually, we're authorized to use deadly force for no reason. So no, that's how
the Secret Service in the president's home. What in the actual hell is going on? Now, to go after Obama and Bush and Biden, who actually have piles of illicit activity that they're guilty, dead to rights on. I mean, you could be Republican or Democrat, and you can find 100 different things on those administrations if you want to. But if that's the route we're going, that's the route we're going.
Right. Well, Biden had all his documents, it turned out, and then he didn't have access to. He wasn't supposed to because he was VP at the time, or senator or whatever. He was not authorized.
Some from VP and some from when he was in Congress. Right. And now they're on the verge of holding him in contempt. Merrick Garland for not releasing the. Not Bill Barr, the other guy, William Hur, not
the Hur report, or whatever,
the Hur report, and the sergeant at arms might end up arresting Merrick Garland. I don't know if that's likely, but like if you're going to hold Steve Bannon in contempt, if you're going to hold Peter Navarro in contempt and jail these people, well, you're damn right you're on that list next. No one is above the law. No one is above the law. Okay. Well, here you go. Here's the game you started, except you're actually guilty of all these things. The stuff that Joe Biden had, he had no business having. The stuff Hillary Clinton had on her private server, never President Hillary Clinton. The stuff that was hacked from foreign countries. You're going to hit Julian Assange and say, you released too many things. It put too many things at risk. But you're going to let your Secretary of State have a private server with all of her classified information getting hacked by China and every adversary around the globe? Are you kidding me? Where is the ideological symmetry? It's coming from the same group of people that will always say, oh, there was a shooting today. We must take guns from all the Americans. No more guns, no Second Amendment. Look, there was a shooting somewhere. Bad things happened. The same group that does that, they never have that same energy when an illegal alien invader rapes a woman, kills a woman, kills a man, runs somebody over, people that should have never been in this country to begin with. The same group never takes that energy of going, well, look what happened over here in these couple of cases. All the illegal alien invaders need to go. But they only do it for guns. It's like there's no ideological symmetry, Blake. It's selective enforcement. It's just actually that kind of brings up the Cuomo quote. I suppose maybe we could go to that now. I don't know if that's closer to you or if it's closer to me, or if you want to stay on Jack Smith. But there were a couple of moments of clarity talking about that selective enforcement. Let me pull it up. I believe I have it here. Do you have anything more to add on the Jack Smith case, Blake?
No, I don't know if you want to talk about the other case too, or we can go back and forth. Doesn't matter.
Well, here
cover
let's do
everything
this.
eventually.
Let's go to the next case, and then I'll go ahead and pull up the Cuomo quotes.
Yeah, I've got it too. But yeah, you can pull that up because I've got it right here as well.
All right, so we're going to talk about SCOTUS and their unanimous verdict. Oh, there you go.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got it too. We both have it, but you can have yours as a backup. Doesn't matter. But yeah, there's some interesting developments here on Trump, no matter what. So I haven't seen this clip yet, Brian, but yes, there's another setback for the deep state in their lawfare against Trump. So we've got Jack Smith getting caught perhaps red-handed staging the photo op for the FBI. And then we have a setback with Judge Merchan here in New York in the gag order and going after Trump there for what was again? I forget the charges. We can run that Judge Judy clip as well because it's really difficult to explain what actually happened there, of whether he paid hush money and whether that was a campaign expense or a legal expense or what have you. Somehow they twisted that into a felony, which they can try to jail Trump for. But now the Supreme Court has ruled here you have to have unanimous jury verdict, and you can't have sentencing enhancements that are not found by the jury. And it could also be used to help the January 6th prisoners in the gulag, because you have judges that want to throw sentencing enhancements at them. And the former helps Donald Trump because you don't have jury unanimity in the Manhattan verdict against him. So let's run this. This is Real America's Voice with Jeff Clark.
He also say that today that second Supreme Court criminal case I mentioned, Erlinger, has good stuff in it for Donald Trump and for the J6ers. It holds that you have to have unanimous jury verdicts and that you can't have sentencing enhancements that are not found by the jury. So the latter helps the J6ers because you have judges who want to throw sentencing enhancements at them, and the former helps Donald Trump because you don't have jury unanimity in the Manhattan verdict against him. So even that was, big. It's at like a rising crescendo.
Yeah, you had an activist judge who was clearly compromised, should have recused himself, but this was all a big show trial to get Trump. And he kind of steered the jury into getting a guilty verdict no matter what. But now the Supreme Court has said, no, this is ridiculous. And now this also just broke from AP, judge altering Trump's gag order. And I guess he's now going to let him talk about witnesses and the jury after the hush money conviction. So that frees the former president to comment publicly about witnesses and jurors in the hush money criminal trial that led to his felony conviction. So, so these are both interesting breaking stories.
Yeah, and let me just give it some weird perspective here by playing this. This was off of Bill Maher's show. Something I really didn't think I was going to see. This Adam Kinzinger, this guy next to, what a lineup of goofballs here. But just a short clip from Andrew Cuomo on Real Time with
out of all the people you could put on a show, why the fuck would you bring Adam Kinzinger up?
Yeah, I know that guy.
Crybaby,
frankly.
Right.
Yeah, Kinzinger's. It's a dead giveaway that whatever he's about to do is an operation. He goes out with the dumbest, stupidest points of view. If you'll notice in the next two clips, he doesn't talk at all.
Case in New York, frankly, should have never been brought.
Sorry, I talked to her right at the beginning. The case in New York, frankly, should never have been brought.
Case in New York, frankly, should have never been brought. And if his name was not Donald Trump, and if he wasn't running for president, I'm the former AG in New York, I'm telling you that case would have never been brought. And that's what is offensive to people. And it should be, because if there's anything left, it's belief in the justice system. Case in New York, Frank.
So, I mean, Blake, that was kind of stunning to hear, right? Coming from Andrew Cuomo saying it as the former attorney general. Let me tell you, this would have never happened. And he also went on to call it a mistake and say it's been such a fundraising bonanza. It's the dumbest thing that Democrats could have done.
Yeah, absolutely. And another surprise, we had Judge Judy, who's not a fan of Trump either, but also, calling this out as just complete BS. Another New Yorker. So we'll check that one out. And I know he's your favorite, Chris Wallace. He's inspired you in your journalistic career. Here he is.
Is that the justice system working, or is it the justice system being manipulated?
I would be happier as someone who owns property in Manhattan if the district attorney of New York County would take care of criminals who are making it impossible for citizens to walk in the streets and use the subway, to use his efforts to keep those people off the street, than to spend $5 million or $10 million of taxpayers' money trying Donald Trump on this nonsense. That's my view. But I, as a taxpayer in this country, resent using the system for your own personal self-aggrandizement. Now, if you didn't know...
And that's what you think the DA did in Manhattan?
That's what I think. I mean, if you look, you had to twist yourself into a pretzel to figure out what the crime was.
That's bombshell coming from a judge like that, as prominent as Judge Judy.
They're all starting to talk now. People have been so scared to speak their minds. They are done with it. You know, like the intimidation techniques of Antifa, BLM, the stuff from 4 years ago, the legacy media, anyone that did speak, you were banned off of Facebook. Well, okay, fine. There's Truth Social now. Well, you were kicked off of YouTube. Yeah, well, there's Rumble now. Yeah, well, this and that. Yeah, well, there's that now. There are options for I can sense such a difference. It was one of the financial leaders. I forget the lady's name. I shared it earlier, maybe earlier today or yesterday. And she was asked, "Who are you supporting?" She said, "Look, this is a financial election. President Donald Trump had the greatest economy I've ever seen, and I'm voting for him again." It's just you never heard any of these disparate voices coming in to defend Donald Trump before. It's such a difference between 4 years ago and where things are now. Speaking of a difference between 4 years ago, let me play this one for you, Blake. This is Andrew Cuomo talking about what Judge Judy was just saying about immigration. And Cuomo knows about New York, and he knows what's going on with immigration in New York. And listen to these perspectives.
His immigration policy was a mistake, right? I get the theory of the extreme left. We're a land of immigrants, let everyone come in. We all came as immigrants. I get it. But how you do it makes all the difference in the world, right? And to just open the borders with no plan, you don't know where they go, you don't know who's going to pay for them. They wind up in cities all across the country. New York had a couple of 100,000 in hotels.
Unreal.
Costing New York City a fortune. No jobs, no training, no help assimilating into society. So who did you even help, right? It was a great theory.
You have the person in your old job, the governor of New York, a Democrat, saying, "Don't come here." Those are her exact words. Don't come here. And the mayor of New York saying, "This is going to ruin our city."
Because he's right, Eric Adams.
If I didn't know who was talking, I would have thought that would be Republicans.
Yeah.
And by the way, Blake, any thoughts on that? But it's interesting. He says, by the way they were speaking, I would have thought they were Republicans. And it's interesting that there's no Republican on that panel since Adam Kinzinger is just a deep state hack. Any thoughts on what Cuomo was saying at the beginning there about the immigration, letting people in, and the state of things now?
Well, yeah, no, he obviously, as the governor of New York, would have something to say. I mean, that's Ellis Island. That's, New York is kind of where so many immigrants came in, but they came in for the right reasons at times when we, needed to bring people into the country. But this is not one of those cases. It's like we're just allowing these people as like some kind of a voting block or to, change the demographics of this country. They're changing it. They want to get rid of classic Americana. They want to get rid of the nationalists. And they will, ends justify the means. If they can get these people to, vote Democrat, they'll do it. And they're just weakening everything. It's Cloward and Piven. It's so much, and it's putting a massive strain on resources. New York is getting overwhelmed by this stuff. So hopefully, it's a big wake up call for people. And it's starting to transcend the traditional left and right. It's right and wrong.
Yeah, and that maybe I'll be able to locate the video. I believe I shared it earlier with Vivek, with a Vivek dump. Did like 5 different video shares. But yeah, he directly called out the Great Replacement theory. He's like, there's no theory, it's a fact. It's exactly what their stated philosophy is. It's exactly what they're trying to do. And Vivek being fearless like that to just completely buck these taboo third rail topics. You're not, oh gosh, you can't mention that or else people will call you these bad names. He's like, so what? They call me bad names all day anyway. Might as well tell the truth about it. But yeah, that's exactly the concern, is that you're running up a World War III. You're going to draft our daughters. You're going to take all the libertarian leaning, constitutional leaning Republican men and women, and you're going to send them off into a meat grinder to never return. And you're going to change the demographics of the country by the 10, 20, 30 million people you imported from parts unknown for purposes unknown, other than it being a great replacement of the people who are resisting your takeover of the damn country. So yeah, it's relevant stuff here. And it is interesting too. I know it's not on our stack, but I did just want to touch on it. The story over the weekend was that President Trump flew to Ohio to make a personal pitch to his vice presidential candidate. And it was rumored that that's going to be Vivek Ramaswamy. He's from like the Cincinnati, Dayton area-ish, I believe. But there's also J.D. Vance from Ohio as well. Trump later went on to, I believe it was Philadelphia, and gave a speech over there. I think it was Pennsylvania, Philly.
Yeah, Philadelphia.
So I guess, Blake, before I finish the rest of this Cuomo clip here on Bill Maher, let me just ask you, since it's not a show topic, but this is as good a place as any to just pause and get your thoughts on it. Let's make the prediction. What do you see happening with Trump's VP pick? If you were just guessing, the rumor is that he's going to announce it on Thursday for the debate. Maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't. But if he does, who do you expect him to walk out with?
Wouldn't say I expect, but I mean, I would be thrilled if it was Vivek. That would be the best pick that he could have, I think. On the board, there's some of the good complimentary pieces, but nothing would strike fear into the deep state, and just make the liberal media freak out, freak the F out.
Are you saying, Blake, that you think Vivek might be the best assassination insurance because his soaring rhetoric is even more extreme, or like as liberty-minded extreme as Trump is? That he's like right on, like almost even more dangerous because he's even more articulate with fewer negatives, fewer ghosts haunting him around every corner. He's not compared to. It's hard to call the Indian guy Hitler. It's like he doesn't have the mustache. But Orange Man is like so demonized. They just have that baked into the cake. You think he's the best assassination insurance, Vivek?
Absolutely. Because, I mean, we talk about like Ronnie D or something, but you got to be careful with certain people. That certain people that are going to have ambition to take the presidency. You can't have JFK and then have Lyndon Johnson, who really wants to be president too, and is willing to, have you offed and go along with the deep state if you can get that position. I don't think Vivek would do that, but you could have somebody like a good complimentary piece for Trump would be like, Devin Nunes or something, who's not really, he's outspoken, but he's not like, extroverted. He's not trying to, put himself out there. But I think, the best assassination insurance would be somebody like a Vivek or a Kerry Lake, somebody who would absolutely jump in and be just as
bulldog
as Trump.
Bulldog.
Formidable.
Just a relentless pit bull that chomps and will not let go. And I had the conversation yesterday discussing the VP pick, and it's like, well, the person says, I would prefer like a Ron Paul or a Thomas Massey. I'm like, those two are great. They're like the only decent thing in Congress. Like they're one of only 10 or 20 decent things in Congress that get a couple of things right. They're probably the two biggest leaders, and they're both from Kentucky, which is awesome. Just coming from California, and I had no representation at all to Kentucky, where it's like, oh my gosh, a couple of people speak sense, a little bit of sanity. But my conversation continued yesterday, and I said, but taking Rand Paul or taking Thomas Massey means that you're deleting them from Congress. They are needed where they are. You can't take a chess piece off the board and expect to win. You can add Carrie Lake. She's not on the board. Boom, she's on. Maybe a Tulsi Gabbard.
She could be
Boom.
senator. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. She might be senator. God Almighty, if they can't get their voting under control in Maricopa County, I don't know what's happened to Arizona. But yeah,
Run by the Sinaloa cartel. Okay. Anyway, maybe
I mean, you're not wrong with the Breaking Bad reference stuff, because I mean it defies logic how we've ended up in this spot. Carrie Lake is one of the most talented politicians I've seen, as well as Vivek. But the point is, Vivek and Carrie Lake and anyone rhyming with Ake, they are not on the board, which means it would be a net plus to just throw him there. But taking someone else that's Ronnie D, oh, you're going to delete him from Florida. Well, he's needed in Florida. Maybe not. Maybe, someone else could kind of close your eyes and just run with a basic conservative agenda and keep Florida on track. But it's going to be interesting to see. J.D. Vance, I'm going to say, is definitely the dark horse there. Once again, from Ohio. If you can read into the fact that the next VP is going to be from Ohio, I'm saying it's probably going to be Vivek, but J.D. Vance is maybe a coin flip. We'll see how it shakes out on Thursday as well, but definitely wanted to address that since I put it into the topic headline today. Let me just wrap up this Bill Maher quote and then jump to the next story here. But this is Andrew Cuomo continuing about immigration being out of control because of what Biden's Democrats have done.
If I didn't know who was talking, I would have thought that would be Republicans.
Yeah, but they didn't stop them, Bill. They could have stopped them.
Right.
The governor was saying she didn't want them outside of New York City. But the mayor could have said no. The governor could have said no. Many mayors and governors said no. But New York was more of the ideological left. All are welcome. And now we're finding out, 200,000 people later, you needed a plan. You needed to know what to do with these people. And that's where you found.
By the way, I'm just going to rewind that to Cuomo yelling at Democrats saying you needed a plan and getting a crowd ovation. And where do they film? I think this is Los Angeles.
Welcome. And now we're finding out, 200,000 people later, you needed a plan. You needed to know what to do with these people. And that's where you found.
Trump he has a 23 with Latinos on the issue of border security.
Think about that.
I feel like this is not.
I mean, the Latinos know what they're fleeing from these shithole countries. Oh, Trump said shithole. Yeah. Do you know people that live in Central America or South America and their country is completely overrun with crime? They hate it. There are good people that flee, but you got to filter out the bad people, poisoning the lot of them first. But yeah, imagine Latinos having a 23-point Trump lead. They don't want those criminals chasing them into their next country. Why would anybody?
On the issue of border security. Mm-hmm. I feel like this is not those issues where the Democrats trying to be so un-racist are actually kind of racist because they don't seem to see Latinos as Americans.
Right.
Like, they care about border security too. They're here.
Exactly. All right, Blake, any final thoughts on that wrap up of the immigration?
His immigration policy was a mistake.
We're dealing with right now.
I get the theory.
There we go.
Well, I guess one of the things, there was also it was another Project Veritas video where they got a guy talking about, I don't know if he was in the State Department, I can't remember which department it was, talking about that replacement theory. And he was saying that, the good people of Mexico aren't coming here. They're letting the trash in. And it's just a win-win for them because they can let all the criminals, all the degenerates, they go up to the United States, they get out of their country, there are less resources for them, plus they can send money back into the country. Like, this is doing great. The open border policy has been a huge win for South America. They dump all the trash on us, but we're letting it in. So we're the ones letting it happen. And we think we're getting this voter block, but there are unintended consequences. And so people, yes, this is going to be backfiring badly. And a lot of the Latino Americans are really not liking this. So they're going to be going for Trump.
And by the way, something that
the conspiracy theory on that show they were talking about with Bill Maher and Cuomo is like, how are they coming up with these polls? If there's so many more blacks and so many more Latinos going for Trump, then how can they possibly be saying that Biden is somehow ahead in the polls? So it's
You're right.
manipulation numbers, but they're going to try to lead that up to, oh, it's 81 million verified votes. It's the most safe and secure election ever. So we can't have that anymore.
Well, that's a good point. Let me pull that up about the media lying about poll numbers to prop up Biden. That's a great segue. But while we were talking about fake news and busting narratives, Blake, you know that I have been on yelling about the fine
Right,
people.
we're good. I got 20 minutes. We don't have too much time to get into these stray topics here, but go ahead.
No, this is not a straight topic. This might be the biggest topic of the week. The fact that for 7 years, Joe Biden, the cornerstone of his 2020 campaign, was lying about President Trump calling neo-Nazis and white supremacists fine people. For 7 years, they've been lying. And people across this country that don't know better, or they've only seen the edited version, they have no idea that that was a complete gaslight campaign. Once again, just like Jack Smith and the classified top secret confidential props that they use to get the photograph to share around everywhere so you get an image in your head of who Trump is and who he is not. Let me just say this. Snopes has kind of quietly updated this. Trump's remarks about the deadly Charlottesville Unite the Right rally in 2017 remain controversial, but fact check. Snopes says, no, Trump did not call neo-Nazis and white supremacists very fine people. No shit. Thank you from the no shit. Thank you 7 years later department. Joe Biden ran his campaign like this at the Cornerstone, and really excited to see him attack Biden on this in the debate. Blake, do you think, I guess you don't think this is as relevant as I do? I think this is just a mega bombshell, just completely destroying the legacy media and the Democrat Party because of such a blatant lie to everybody for so long. And now even Snopes can't lie about it.
No, it's a big deal, and this is what they're going to frame this whole new election on. It's going to be the leftists are simplifying this as Trump is a rapist and a convicted felon, therefore you should not vote for him. That's exactly what they're going for. Even if they're bullshit cases, even if you don't, you're not going to explain to somebody that's low information about E. Jean Carroll or how the Judge Merchan is, they rigged the election and they try to steer the jury. It's just, Trump is a rapist and a convicted felon. So that's that is their strategy. It's very similar to what they did last time. So that's what they need, the low info voter who could just take those two talking points and run with it.
Well, let's talk about this talking point, Blake. Is the media lying about poll numbers to prop up Biden? Do you agree or disagree that the media is lying about poll numbers to prop up Weekend at Bernie's boy?
Yes, that's exactly what they're going to. Yeah, of course they're going to do that. That's the way they run these things. And that's pretty much, we already kind of covered that. So I don't know if we really need to elaborate any further on that. But it doesn't make any sense for Biden to be up, assuming that he's losing, some of his base.
Yeah, and Blake, you're right. A longer version of that clip does include the part that we discussed. Yeah, so there's no way if Biden's losing among every demographic, how in the world is he possibly tied? There's no way. This should be a 50-state blowout. This should be the biggest blowout since Mondale. This should be all 50 states. There's no reason why a single state should vote for what Biden has shown the country and the rest of the world stage for 3.5 years. Nothing. I just don't see it.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense. And even Bill Maher is calling that one out. So it doesn't, the unexpected conspiracy theory. How is Biden ahead of Trump if he's lost 14 points among Hispanics, 43 points amongst black voters under 50, favorability among student debt holders, and then 8% of women since 2020. But somehow they're saying in the polls that he pulled ahead this week. Explain that to me.
If they're counting 30 million illegal alien invaders, because that other story that we could have thrown in the stack is that 49 of the 50 states, I believe, they're handing out voter registration materials to illegal aliens, knowing full well that if they went through the process to try to vote, that they would be arrested, but they're still handing them out. We need SCOTUS to jump in on this 2024 election immediately. And you have some states revolting at this point. And it's just reaching a boiling point. There's no way Biden could seize control for another 4 years and have America stay intact. There's no way it could possibly happen. So, did you have anything to play there with Biden or Maher?
I already read the highlights. We got to go. I got about 15 minutes at the most, 10, 15 minutes. So we got a couple
let's
major
pull this
stories.
one off the screen and ask about the debate coming up on Thursday. Will Trump's biggest debate opponent actually be the pundits at CNN? Agree or disagree?
It's going to be a hostile environment, and all three of these people are in question. I think these are all going to be the three moderators. So we had one, this nasty Karen lady, Karen Casey Hunt. She was aggressive with with Trump's spokesperson, and then we have Dana Bash, whose husband is on. You wouldn't believe this. It's one of the 51 spies who lied about the Hunter laptop, and then of course you got fake Jake Tapper, and he's it compared Trump to the Fuhrer. Well, that was all part of that same interview. So why don't we roll that? Let's see here. Well, let's just say here, CNN cut the microphone of Trump campaign spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt on Monday after she correctly pointed out the network's debate moderator's long history of anti-Trump bias, proving the former president's biggest opponent during the Thursday debate isn't Joe Biden, but it's the media. So Casey Hunt first asked Leavitt what Donald Trump is going to do differently on the debate stage. And then that's what Leavitt was talking about, what Jake Tapper said. Anybody could go and Google Jake Tapper. Let's see if I've got that clip here. I want to roll that one. Here it is.
All right.
Well, first of all, it would take someone 5 minutes to Google Jake Tapper, Donald Trump, to see that Jake Tapper has consistently.
Whoa, look at that. Karen Casey Hunt just interrupted her because she knew exactly where she was going. Couldn't possibly criticize, Jake Tapper on the network, but she had a very good story about that, showing the extreme bias that has been displayed by these corporate hacks at CNN masquerading as journalists. Let's roll this again.
Well, first of all, it would take someone 5 minutes to Google Jake Tapper, Donald Trump, to see that Jake Tapper has consistently
we're going to stop this interview if you're going to keep
President
attacking
Trump
my colleagues.
Adolf Hitler.
Ma'am, I'm going to stop this interview if you
I'm
continue to attack my colleagues. I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
Yes.
If you are here to speak on his behalf, I am willing to have this conversation.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay.
Now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Caroline, thank you very much for your time. You are welcome to come back.
Wow, just totally. So you have a preview right there of what Trump is in for. This lady has no business being in the media. She is absolutely a regime propagandist who is protecting. In fact, I trolled her the other day. She got blasted on Twitter. But she was calling out Caroline, you come on my show, you respect my colleagues, period. She had no respect for her or for Trump, asked a very, question trying to say, hey, Trump compared, or Jake Tapper compared Trump to the Fuhrer. Can't say his name because it's going to get flagged. But period, she says, I don't care what side of the aisle you stand on, as my track record clearly shows. But then I said, yeah, most of your colleagues are regime propagandists and have a track record of spreading misinformation. Yeah, these people are absolutely nasty. And let's just run another part here. It's one of her favorite stories, this Karen Casey Hunt here, who will not allow criticism of CNN hosts, joked about the violent assault on Senator Rand Paul that almost killed him.
What?
On this, yeah, let's just to kind of
thank you.
See what kind of a character this person is.
Thank you both very much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Casey.
Thanks, Casey.
New details today on the incident that left Senator Rand Paul with 6 broken ribs. This might be one of my favorite stories, although
one of her favorite stories.
What the actual crap is that? She didn't exactly. Job for that? Encouraging.
Well, she didn't even say that. Well, no, I don't think she, this was just a spur of the moment thing. Like, she was excited. You can only imagine what these people talk about, behind the scenes. And they absolutely hate people like Rand Paul and Donald Trump, people that are aggressive truth tellers, because these people are, busy covering up, for the regime. They are running cover for the deep state.
Right.
On the incident that left Senator Rand Paul with 6 broken ribs. This might be one of my favorite stories, although, of course, we don't want to. Clearly, Senator Paul is still struggling.
That she kind of corrected, like, oops, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Then she kind of
thought herself immediately, but she couldn't stop digging herself. She couldn't figure her way out of it. She couldn't form that next sentence. She choked all over that.
Just a nasty, nasty person. And here's that cat turd calling her out for being Karen.
I love on today's show we were able to utilize cat turd on a day that you're like, I can't believe we're using such and such account. It's like, so not everybody wants to be publicly identified, and yes, they'll use a screen name. I mean, most of the stuff I tweet's under the New American Media. I don't use my face in my name.
We're talking off air about some of these people, Amuse and some of these.
All right, we'll get into that later.
Without getting sidetracked.
Yes, let me stay on track because I just wanted to mention this. You showed us some of the lady. Let's also revisit Jake Tapper real quick. Just here's a quick rundown of who this guy is and who Trump is going to have to debate against on top of debating Biden.
Out that CNN says we're not allowed to criminalize, we're not allowed to criticize Jake Tapper. We're not allowed to criticize Jake Tapper. We're not allowed. Well, Jake, I got to tell you something. Oh, my stars. Look at the time. It's Jake o'clock. You see, because he remembered Jake Tapper for being the man who falsely corroborated the Russiagate dossier. Remember the PP dossier? Yeah, that was Jake Tapper. You remember the same guy who tried to convince Sean Parnell to not run as a Republican in the state of Pennsylvania in his own district against a Democrat named Conor Lamb. Oh, right, that was Jake Tapper. Do you remember another guy, by the way, who claimed that Trump was a secret Russian agent just before a man named James T. Hodgkinson drove across half the country and shot up a Republican congressional baseball game? All right, that was Jake Tapper again. Jake Tapper, who cuts off CNN, orders CNN to cut off the shoot when a crowd of Cubanos is singing happy birthday. I believe they call it Feliz Cumpleaños, Jake. They call it Feliz Cumpleaños. And they were singing that to Donald J. Trump, and you demanded that they be shut up. Oh, Jake o'clock is so much fun. By the way, this is the same guy. We remember the Russian bounties hoax. We remember Alpha Bank. We remember Jussie Smollett. We remember the Covington kids. We remember Kyle Rittenhouse, the NASCAR nooses. We remember that Jake Tapper going and telling Fauci that that Christmas probably isn't possible for the unvaccinated. Yes, I remember it. And then Jake Tapper falsely accusing anyone who criticized him of anti-Semitic dog whistles. The man who compares Donald Trump to Adolf Hitler every single time he wakes in the morning. And my personal favorite, the best for last, when Jake Tapper accused Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh of running an underage gang rape, train rape gang while in high school. Jake Tapper, take a bow. What a turns.
So there you have it, Blake. Jake Tapper as he's being called here. That's who Trump is up against. Right. He's going to have to battle all of them. By the way, that's our Telegram feed, TNAM and TNAM chat. Make sure you are following us there. Blake, do you agree that YouTubers should not be able to use the CNN?
Hold on, Brian, before we get to that. But wait, there's more.
Oh, but
there's
another
moderator. More. There's another moderator in that debate named Dana Bash, who we're slightly familiar with, who's also, it turns out, her husband is actually one of the 51 spies who lied to the American public about Hunter laptop to steal the election. So, yes, the far left, the extreme left outlet, CNN, will host the first presidential debate Thursday. And, yes, Trump haters Jake Tapper and Dana Bash will moderate the debate. So, no word if they've leaked questions early to Biden's camp like they did for Clinton. But, yeah, it turns out Dana Bash is a former husband, is an attorney and former chief of staff at the CIA. So, it kind of fits right into that whole narrative about, yes, these regime propagandists are actually connected to intelligence agencies. That's how they control news and information. They don't want to give people that much info. So they basically have compromised the corporate press. And so that's why they hate people like Julian Assange or people that are independent journalists and shut them all down. And so, yes, they've been replaced. It's Operation Mockingbird or what have you. And Dana Bash is right there along with it. And there is Jeremy Bash, the husband. So with all of these other traitors who lied, these spies who lied, and they said that Hunter's laptop was just Russian disinformation and then censored anybody, just absolute flaming election interference in 2020 that could have changed the course of history. Anyway, and put this meat puppet in there, Joe Biden. So now, of course, they're going to be protecting him and going after Trump and Thursday. And it's going to be a very hostile environment. So, interesting to note. Here's Roger Stone. How can CNN debate moderator Dana Bash be impartial questioning Trump when she's married to Trump-bashing Russiagate conspiracy theorist, Biden donor, and Brennan side Jeremy Bash, who signed 2020 intel statement falsely insisting Hunter's laptop was Russian disinformation? So there we go. Yeah, Kyle Becker. Oh, there's another one from Cat Turd. Yep, and quote the Ashley's diary. There you go.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Trump. I think what happened here, Blake, is the Biden campaign floated the idea of, here, let's do a debate, but it's going to be every disadvantaged Trump, expecting him to turn it down. And Trump was like, yep, I'm in. And he hurried up and accepted it before they could go, oh, crap, they called our bluff. I don't think the Democrats wanted this to happen in any way. I think they rigged it so intentionally to completely favor Biden. They were kind of taken aback when he said, all right, fine, let's give it a shot. This Dana Bash character, by the way, let's go ahead and listen to this part.
Here's a question that I have, because it is, again, like the Supreme Court is in a bubble. Perhaps it's some of the justices are in a bubble, and they're not dealing. I mean, when Congress can do this, there are members of Congress, and we could go through the list, who are never going to do anything that would make life difficult for Donald Trump.
By the way, this is regarding the Colorado ballot. If you can remember back to that charade where the Supreme Court unanimously ruled that Trump has to stay on the Colorado ballot, even though the people tried to remove that as an option.
So to think that the Congress is going to solve this, they barely can get a post office name these days.
It's true. I mean, and you can go down the list of Supreme Court decisions that kicked whatever issue over across the street over to Congress, whether it is Obamacare, which is something that the Democrats were very happy about when they did that, a little bit of a different kind of port. Voting rights, I think, is maybe the primary example of what you're saying before this. Look, unfortunately for America, the court isn't necessarily wrong that this is the way to be. They wanted Congress, the people who are closest to their constituents, to be able to make the rules of the laws.
So unfortunately for America, Supreme Court sided with Trump when Colorado tried to remove him from the ballot, Blake. That's who Trump is having moderate the debate.
Right. So, yes, it's quite hostile. So that's how they're going to even things out, I suppose. So, yes, Dana Bash and Jake Tapper, or what have you, neither of them should be qualified to be up there as independent moderators. It makes as much sense as having, Judge Merchan on his New York case.
Right.
So I hope Trump calls them out directly for all of that. And he should.
Yeah, and he should. Absolutely. I don't know if we have you for any more seconds. I was just wondering about the YouTubers streaming the debate, if you had a thought there. If you had anything to share.
Yeah, it's pretty bold and audacious of, I guess they don't want people live streaming and doing like live commentary. Like, hey, let's cover the debate and we'll do live fact checking on air. they're going to try to crack down. So CNN threatening YouTube channels that plan to provide debate commentary. It says we're not granting digital entities the right to stream the debate on their own YouTube channels. So they're trying to keep this just exclusive to themselves. So I don't know if that's actually going to fly. I know Tim Pool is going to be playing it. I don't know First Amendment if they can get away with something like that, but they certainly are going to try. So they are losing the narrative, and this is how they're going to desperately try to.
And by the way, this is a debate where they specifically, the Democrats and CNN, the deep state, they said no audience. Since when don't you have an audience for a debate? You always have an audience. Since they are trying to make this the least watched thing possible. So, yeah, we haven't figured out exactly what we're going to do. If we're going to try to go live on Rumble or try to go live on YouTube or do the normal stream, who knows yet, but we shall see, I guess, on Thursday. Blake, I think you got to go, right? We just had one story about World War III in Russia. Bombs exploded on the beach. Not good. They're vowing retribution. So just I'm warning everyone to get ready, get prepared. Imagine a cyber attack. Imagine no access to money, running water, electricity. Could you get by for a couple days or a couple weeks? Please level up. That's all I wanted to add on that. Blake, if you had any thoughts on that story on your way out.
Yeah, I think they're definitely poking the Russian bear. They're trying to get Putin to react in such a way that they can react and things can escalate. And if they get into a World War III scenario, then they don't have to worry about debates. They can just circumvent the election. They'll debate. They'll do it just like Zelensky or Netanyahu. It's like, oh, we're at war, so I guess we can't really have elections, and they can shut down opposition. They'll shut down the independent media, force everybody to get their news from CNN or other state-approved propaganda networks. It's it's in the playbook. So yeah, be very careful about that. That's all I got on that. Sad that they're meddling around.
Absolutely. The video is rough to watch. Several casualties, a lot of injuries, just people hanging out at a beach. Definitely not enemy combatants getting blown up and injured. And these are allegedly American weapons that have now been fired by Ukraine into Russian Sebastopol, I believe is the name of the city, if I'm pronouncing that right.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's just an escalation, and it's like, can they ride out 5 more months until Trump takes over? Can they, till the election, can they just hold out from punching back? Because they're getting attacked by Biden's deep state right now. So anyway, just be prepared, try to level up, keep your head on a swivel, be ready at a moment's notice, be the Minuteman for your community, for your household, and for the country, please. Because our strength depends on you being strong in your local area. Because when it pops, it'll be needed everywhere. Blake, any final words today, sir?
Nope, got to run, but it's been delightful. We covered everything. Good job. Got it done. Wow, and it looks like 72 minutes. Fantastic. All right. No, it's all good. Thanks, everybody, for checking us out, and we'll look forward to the next show on Thursday. So, yes, TV's Blake Walley on Twitter, and thenextlevelnews.com will be the archive. So, and then I'll be on tonight if you guys want to tune in for that Toxically Masculine Tuesday with Mike Barra, Dr. Brooks Agnew, and Steve Doran be the fourth member. So,
another person? There's a fourth person?
Yeah, there was last week, and I think he will be sticking around. So the trail boss. So yeah, anyway, that's all I've got. So tune in for more. Thank you, everybody. Have a great one, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Brian. All right.
Take care, Blake. Yes, check him out on tonight's program. And also, if you would like to donate to Blake Walley and help fund his independent journalism endeavors, you can go to Cash App. It's $Blake W99. That's on screen there. That's Cash App. $Blake W99. Now, if you appreciate the New American Media and what we are doing here on the Agree to Disagree show, I want to thank you for being a part of this past, 13, 14 years. We are, I was thinking, is this our fourth election cycle? It's like 13 years, 14 years, every 4 years, 4 by 4, 16. I think the way it overlaps, this might be our fourth election cycle that we've been covering. But please go to our Rumble account and find the New American Media. Subscribe to us there, please. We need more subscriptions. Press play on the videos previously and let them play. It's like tossing a couple pennies in the wishing well if you let the advertisements play. We appreciate that. Download the Agree to Disagree podcast on Spotify. Sign up for it, subscribe to it, get the podcast in case you don't catch us live, and link up with us there. Also on X, we are at American_media_. Super helpful that you're connected to us in all of the locations, including our YouTube channel, youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia. Hit subscribe. We got like 1,400, coming up on 1,500 videos there on the YouTube channel, so make sure you're following us there. Rumble, of course, is the backup, and Odyssey, ODYSEE.com. They are the backup. Everything that goes onto YouTube is automatically backed up onto Odyssey. So if YouTube zaps us again, just hit us up on Odyssey and Rumble. It's nice to have alternate platforms, as well as Telegram. We're TNAM for the New American Media, TNAM, TNAM and TNAM chat. On Truth Social, the New American Media. On Facebook, do a search for the page, the New American Media. And then our groups, search TNAM. We got about 15, 20 groups under TNAM. TNAM Food and Drink, TNAM Humor, TNAM Grow Something. TNAM's the Agree to Disagree show. A lot of different TNAM groups. So go do a search on Facebook. And on Instagram, we are the New American Media. If you appreciate what we're doing and would like to contribute, patreon.com is a way to do that. Go to patreon.com/the New American Media. You can do like $5 a month or $15 a month for like the Netflix equivalent, or $100 a month or $1,000 a month or $10,000 a month. Like, you can help us. Our content is brought to you by viewers like you. So if you like what we're doing, please consider participation. Also, as Kenneth likes me to remind you, Venmo at Brian Engelman, BRIANENGELMAN. Yeah. This month is the month where the piper is due. The piper is due his penance. You got to pay the piper. So, there were definitely travel expenses getting out to the Bronx last month and to Washington, D.C. for the Libertarian Convention. Hotel expenses. Had to buy a new camera. That was a significant undertaking, let me tell you. So some of this is standard fare for what independent journalism is, and then other stuff is general equipment maintenance, but it's easier to do with your support. So if you are so inclined, consider a contribution to the New American Media and what we're doing here on the Agree to Disagree show. So I want to thank everybody for participating, especially Blake Walley, once again, at TV's Blake Walley, and thenextlevelnews.com. What I'm trying to figure out here is what we're going to do on Thursday. Blake had an interesting story right there that YouTube is going to try to crack down on restreams. Like, they don't want Steven Crowder and Tim Pool and the New American Media, the Agree to Disagree show, Brian Engelman, Blake Walley. They don't want us doing a live reaction to the debate. They want us to watch their debate. So I got to see, let me make a note here. If I can get Rumble, set up Rumble Live. I think I can do Rumble Live, but I can't restream it. I'm going to set up Rumble Restream. I've tried it multiple times. I haven't been able to you get a key, and then you post the key, and then it's supposed to, you get an option to share it out, but it hasn't worked. So I don't know what I did wrong, but maybe in the next couple days I'm going to try to do it. But I will attempt to restream through YouTube, through X, Facebook. Facebook doesn't show us anything. Kind of showing us where the viewers are coming from. They're all coming from X and from YouTube. Nothing from Facebook. They hate us. And that's where I spent a large portion of the last 14 years building up the audiences, the private groups. And they just limit our distribution, our reach so much. But we're not going to stop. We're just going to be on different platforms. So link up with us. What I would like to do is do a regular show, maybe a 60 to 90. Regular, the Agree to Disagree show covering the news. Then do a special live debate show. So if you are wondering what to do that night, try to tune in with us live. I think it's at 9 o'clock. What time is the debate? It is 9 p.m. Eastern. Feels like that's kind of late. I guess that's advantage Trump. Although they're going to have Biden hopped up on goofballs. Dude's going to be high as a kite if I were guessing. They're going to have him on all sorts of amphetamines or something, some sort of cocktail to jazz up his old bony bones. Maybe we're going to get that angry yelling Biden. You know, let me say this. You know, and I feel like I do need to do some more shows where I just kind of where I'm able to just kind of ruminate. It's fun doing the shows with Blake. Like I love the focus and trying to pound through the stories, and you're constantly watching the clock, trying to keep it timely. I can do it, but that's not really how I'm wired. I just want to offer this thought here. I was not a fan of how President Trump approached the debate in 2020 against Joe Biden. I didn't like it. He left a lot of room for improvement. And I think the tone and tenor of this debate is going to be very important. I hope to God that someone is advising President Trump and that his internal instinct, that's tough to say, his internal instinct will be to maybe alter his strategy from the last debate. I forget if it was 1, 2, or 3. I don't know if it was Chris Wallace or they all kind of blurred together, but he was so aggressive and he kept talking over Joe Biden to steamroll him. I'm more aggressive. I'm more powerful. I will dominate you. It's like, please press pause. Like a Zach Morris timeout. Less of you. Force Biden to talk. Let him stutter and stammer his way into contradictions and confusions. Shut up. Respectfully, President Trump. Shut up. Let his own words do him in. Now, that's not to say be meek or timid. That's not to say don't bring it. I mean, yeah, bring it. But bring it in a moderate tone. Devastation of facts and lies from the Fine People hoax. Go down the whole list of stuff. The border. Be restrained and aggressive. Aggressively restrained. That would be my ideal. And that doesn't mean you need to respect Joe Biden because I don't think he's earned it. I don't. But it means respect yourself enough to realize how bad he is. Just let him run himself into tongue-tied booby traps. Stay out of your own way. Do some deep breathing beforehand. Have a mnemonic device or something that you have a ring that you tap every time you feel like jumping in and talking over him. Just anytime you get that urge, tap your toe. Have something in your pocket or something that you just, rosary bead, something that you'll tug on your ear. Woosah, woosah. Use a technique to just, anytime I'm getting angry, I'm just gonna, I'll put my hands like this and I'll tap my watch. So, something, tap your toe. But resist the urge to be you. There's a time to steamroll and there's a time to just, man, his track record is the worst we have ever seen. Put him on the defensive. Ask him a 5-second question, shut up and give him 3 minutes. Force him to defend himself. He can't. Restrained. Please. That is the way that you take this guy out in the debate. That's the way that you win the debate. I mean, whatever Trump's been doing so far, it's been working. So far be it from me to have an opinion that may be contradictory to a strategy he's already decided. But I think it would be in his best interest to chill TF out. So, all right, those are my final thoughts for today. Please make sure you're following the New American Media in all the places because it's kind of a rhythm. Different platforms like Instagram will give you a dump of stories maybe in the morning. Maybe X is afternoon. Rumble and YouTube uploads later in the day. Facebook is constant. It's like there's different mediums that we use. Mediums. The new Medea movie. Media mediums. Anyway, if you're linked up with us in all the places, it won't be so painful if we get silenced on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, because you'll already be linked up with TNAM and Rumble, Spotify, Truth Social, Telegram, Odyssey. So, so much news to cover today. I can't believe we got today's show done in under 5 hours. Half of these stories, there were 2 or 3 stories that could have been lead stories that didn't even make the cut today. But these are things we put out on Instagram, Telegram, Facebook. Make sure you're linked up with us. All right. Go outside, get some fresh air, get some sunlight. It's so therapeutic. I encourage everyone to do it. And I will talk to you later. Signing out. I appreciate you. I love you. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care.